Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this panel discussion about state level candidates in the fight for democracy. This panel is presented by the Green Party of the United States Coordinated Campaign Committee, and it will be a discussion with three of our 2024 state government candidates. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Andy Ellis. I am a former Baltimore City and Maryland Green Party co-chair. I was a state delegate candidate in the 45th district in Maryland in 2018. I'm a member of the GPUS Coordinated Campaign Committee from Maryland. And once this election cycle is over, I'm seeking the Green nomination for governor of Maryland in 2026. So today, we're going to do a little bit of introduction stuff, and then we're going to have a facilitated discussion with our three candidates for about 45 minutes, and then we have about 15 minutes of Q&A, and then a close up and a call to action. So as a means of introduction, I want to talk a little bit about what the Coordinated Campaign Committee does. The Coordinated Campaign Committee is a GPUS committee. It's a standing committee that has the responsibility of tracking and providing support for state candidates, local candidates, and congressional candidates. Our members are elected by the the Green Party National Committee. One of the things that we do is we have an annual budget, which we often use to provide direct financial grants to candidates so that they can either get their campaign up and running or make a crucial investment at an important time for the campaign. Another thing that we do is we maintain an online platform that we call the Candidate Community for Networking, Communication, and Training. And membership in that is open to anybody who is a candidate or a supporter of a candidate. Now, the next question is, why does the Coordinated Campaign Committee exist, and why do we do this? And I think a really good quote from our co-chair, Scott Wagenauer of Washington State, describes exactly why we need a Coordinated Campaign Committee. Scott says, "We desire Green parties to be politically stronger. We believe that the neoliberal corporate duopoly that exerts capitalism and imperialism must be challenged and defeated. Those who make this challenge through electoral activities should be encouraged and supported." And that's what we have. That's why we have a Green Party's CCC, Coordinated Campaign Committee. Now, a little bit of information about why state government needs the Green Party. I think there's two excellent books that I would recommend folks read if they're thinking about the role that a third party or a grassroots party like the Green Party can play in state government. The first one is called Accountability in State Legislatures by Stephen Rogers, and the other one is Laboratories Against Democracy by Jacob Grumbach. Now, we're not going to go into extreme depth in these books today, but I do think they're really important for understanding and framing the conversation. And I would say a couple of key takeaways for this is that state government is often the least responsive and least well-known level of government to voters. People are less likely to know who their legislators and state officials are than they are to know who their congressperson or their mayor is. State government reporting has also been drastically cut in recent years. So people don't know who the legislators are, and they don't know what's happening at the state government level because the resources to report on it has been cut. And another key thing here is that nearly 40% of state legislative seats do not have two-party competition. So that means that the person that wins the primary, also often uncontested, goes into office uncontested a lot of times by one of the two parties. I think that poses a real opportunity for the Green Party, but also shows a real weakness in our democratic systems. The next thing I think that is a key takeaway as table setting for this conversation is that nationalization of party politics by the two corporate parties have made state government a battleground for politics, for policies and democracy. Control of state legislatures is essential to the gerrymandering efforts that both parties engage in Congress and both parties engage in states. And that means massive amounts of often untracked money. Remember that point we made about the reporting going away. Often large amounts of untracked money is pouring into state government officials, so business and national parties can shape the outcome. And voters are almost entirely secondary to the parties and the donors at state level government because people aren't paying attention to it, and because there's no reporters there. So I think the Green Party has the kinds of values and solutions that can really begin or continue to reshape politics. It's a thing we have been doing for decades, and I think it's a thing that we need to continue doing. And I think it's a place where it's really good to have some focus. Now, we all know the myth that Greens only show up to run every 4 years for president, and they should run for state government. Well, I'm here today to tell you that they are running for state government. Greens have been and do run for state government all the time. And since the last presidential cycle, 34 Greens have run for statewide constitutional office, 409 all time. Since the last presidential cycle, 56 Greens have run for state legislative office, 1,224 all time. And so we are running for these offices. It is really important level of government. And I think we're going to take some time today to talk to 3 of our 2024 candidates about their run, their races, and how they use their races to connect Green Party values to on-the-ground problems. So our panelists today are Eddie Espinoza, who is running for Texas Railroad Commission, Robin Vargas, who's running for Texas State Senate, District 27, and Ashimo Nefertiti Kota Daly, who's running for Hawaii State House, District 48. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and we're going to bring the panelists on, and we're going to begin our discussion. So I think the first question I want to ask here is to have you introduce yourself and your race. Tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us what you're running for, and we'll get to the why and the how in a minute, but let's go ahead and start with Robin. Why don't you introduce yourself and your race?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Awesome. My name is Robin Vargas. I'm running for state senate, as Andy announced, 27. That's down here in the Rio Grande Valley, the lower part. It kind of splits into some cities like Far, San Juan, Edinburgh, Alamo, and then it goes all the way to SPI up to Corpus, ends in Beeville. It's a very big section of down here. This is my first time running for the Green Party. I did used to vote Democrat, but I'm all the way Greens this time. Yeah. Am I supposed to say more than that, or
No, that's good. We'll get into more than that as we go on, but that's a good start. Kota, why don't you go next?
Thanks, Robin. It's nice to
Kota, we can't hear you. Why don't we skip to Eddie, and Kota, you can see if you can get the mic working again. Eddie, go ahead.
Oh, good Friday, everyone. My name is Eddie Espinosa, and I am in deep South Texas, and I am the Green Party nominee for Texas Railroad Commissioner. Now, I know several of you have heard me say this many times, but this Railroad Commissioner's race is the most important environmental race in the country. The 3 elected commissioners oversee the entire oil and gas industry in the state, and that includes the oil and gas wells, as also fossil fuel infrastructure. And we're also trying to maintain ballot access for the Green Party here in Texas. So we are looking to get at least 2% of the vote. If Dr. Stein or myself is able to get 2% of the Texas vote, then the Green Party will maintain ballot access for another 10 years. Now, if we don't meet the 2%, there will be another opportunity in 2026. And if no Green Party candidate comes up with 2%, then the state is going to require 120,000 signatures from Texas voters, and that's going to be very expensive. Now, we're not only shooting for 2%, we also want to spread the news about the Green Party and about Dr. Stein's presidential campaign. And we also want to raise the alarm about climate change, because climate scientists have underestimated the effects of a warming planet. So again, this Texas Railroad Commissioners race, the most important environmental race in the country. And, if we can, I know it's a long shot, but if we can get 27% of Texas voters, then we might be able to force a runoff against the Republican incumbent. Now, like you mentioned, at the government at the state level, there's not a lot of media coverage on it. But here's an example of why we need to participate in state politics. The Republican incumbent, Christy Craddock, she's already been on that commission for 12 years. And if she's reelected, that's going to give her a total of 18 years on a regulatory commission of the oil and gas industry. And she has strong connections to the fossil fuel industry. Her father is a long serving Texas House of Representative member. I think he's been Christy Craddock's father has been there for like 56 years. So both of them have very strong connections to the fossil fuel industry. And what we want to do is we want to bring attention and spread the word about this commission that is a failed commission, because they have not been overseeing and regulating the oil and gas industry the way it should. So a lot of methane is being released here in Texas. uh, they're constructing export LNG terminals along the Gulf Coast. So my campaign and the Green Party are the only ones that are saying, hey, let's stop the export LNG terminals. Let's ban fracking, and let's begin the process of cleaning up these environmental messes that are all over Texas. And let's begin to transition the fossil fuel industry, fossil fuel workers, to plugging, cleaning, and decommissioning these oil and gas wells that are contaminating soil, water, and air. And while we're cleaning up these messes that the fossil fuel industry caused, we're also transitioning to solar, wind, and batteries. And we know that in 2024,
Hey, Eddie.
it makes more environmental and economic sense to get our energy needs from solar, wind, and batteries as opposed to fossil fuel. So the carbon that is underground
Eddie?
needs to stay underground. And thank you very much.
Yes, we will get into all these details, and I want to hear all of them, but I also want to get it to Coda and get him a chance to introduce himself. Coda, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Eddie. It's nice to meet you. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Aloha. My name is Koda, a Shimon Nefertiti Daily. I'm running for State House, District 48. This is the Kahaluhu to He'ia district of Oahu, which is in Hawaii. I'm on an island. I believe I'm the youngest candidate running in this election, and I'm really stoked. I got Dave. He's my campaign manager, and we've been just really grassroots about this, just like having fun and trying to get the youth to be empowered and feel powerful. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. And Coda, we'll start with you for the next round of questions. So this question is, what is your why? What made you decide to run this campaign and decide to run as a Green?
So I've been in the grassroots space for the last year or so professionally. I think I've always been in it since maybe junior year of high school. I was watching some YouTube videos like just as a teenager one summer, and I came across some climate change videos, and I've never seen how bad it was. I've never seen the full impacts of climate change. Like, I was really sheltered from that, and I think a lot of kids my age were at that time. This was like 2018, and But after seeing all of those videos, I just got super enraged, like infuriated, because I wasn't being taught this in school. My parents weren't talking about this. Like hundreds, millions of animals and species were just dying out, and our precious, beautiful earth is being destroyed. But I mean, you look around in Hawaii, especially, and it's so beautiful, and so like it's so easy to be taken for granted. But basically, I just started a club at my school, and from that, I just got into activism, and I started just discovering my why. And I guess then is when I really became a Green, but I didn't really know the Green Party existed up until like this year. And just by being in the community, being involved, I've met aunties and uncles, and one of my close aunties just sent me a text, and she was like, "Are you interested in running with the Green Party?" And then just like-minded connections happened, and I was just like, you know what, I feel this responsibility to, I feel like I'm capable of doing it, and I feel like I can really be a use to empower the youth, people my age and our generation, to step up.
Thank you, Coda. We are all grateful to that person who got you to run, because we are all excited to see what you're going to do here. So next time you see them, thank them on behalf of all of us.
Yeah, so
Robin, what is your why? How did you what made you decide to run, and what made you decide to run as a Green?
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Kodo. You do seem very, very young. I'd be interested to know your age. But I think Greens, I feel like the why always finds us. I wasn't definitely walking around last year, like saying I wanted to run for the Greens. I think they asked, and I had an opportunity like Coda. I felt a determination to help try to fix our beautiful earth that people a lot of times take for granted, as if we have more planets to go travel on. But yeah, my why just came from them asking me. I was of age, I it was mostly making sure I could get on the ballot, paying that filing fee, and we got the donations in one day, so it just all came together. But now that I'm in it, now that I've really taken the time to study and all that, I'm glad I'm the person that is the person with the why. Why should I do this? But I just really want to educate people. Like Coda said, it's not taught in schools. And I'm already 30, and a lot of people my age are still very confused about the political system and why it's run the way it is. And I want to educate people and show them it's not hard, it's not scary, there's a process, and if we learn it, we'll be comfortable with it. So that's kind of why I'm still doing it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for saying yes to that request, Robin. I think the people of Texas will be much better for having you on the ballot than if that choice wasn't there. So, Eddie, how about you? You talked a little bit about this in your introduction, but what's your why? Why are you running as a Green Party candidate?
I'm a retired elementary teacher of 26 years, and one of my last assignments was working with the pre-K classroom. So I was working with 3 and 4 year olds, and then you start thinking about the climate science news, and then you start reading and understanding what the Republicans and Democrats are putting forth as far as policy, and things were not adding up. And we talked to the Democrat running to represent our district in Washington, D.C., and we kept requesting that she bring up climate change. And she has yet to bring up climate change. So one of the persons that I volunteered with, as a matter of fact, she's here on the call, Ollie Schmidt, is like, hey, maybe we need to stop with the Democrats because they are not doing what is right. And on top of the climate change, the pilot the climate change policies that they're putting forth are not very good. I mean, they keep throwing money away on carbon capture. And on top of that, now you have them, sending weapons to Israel so they can drop bombs on civilian populations. And the Democrats just are not doing what's right. And the Republicans and Democrats, they're two sides of the same coin. They're cut from the same cloth. And there's no way you can bring systemic change with the two corporate parties. So the best option for me was the Green Party. And after reading their national platform and their state platform, I was like, hey, this is a great roadmap to get us out of the mess we're in as far as global warming and also the debacle of foreign diplomacy. So I got involved to, hey, give future generations a better chance of mitigating climate change. And the other two parties are ignoring this existential threat. And we needed to get the best policies on the ballot here in Texas.
Absolutely. And those students who had you as their pre-K teacher were lucky to have a person with your vision and your compassion shaping their future. And we know that when they grow up, they're going to vote the right way. But in the meantime, we're really excited that you chose to run as a Green this time, because you're absolutely right about all the things that we need to do and all the things that aren't happening with the two-party system. So let's go to the next question here, which I think touches on that a little bit. And the question we're going to ask here is, what is the how? How does the campaign address the issues that you've identified for why you ran? We'll start this one with Robin. So Robin, how does your campaign address these issues that caused you to run?
I think I'm definitely learning the process so I can let people know the process. But I have a small team right now, and since we're grassroots, funding is always something that I think is a challenge for Greens because we don't want to take blood money or dirty money or, corporate money. We should just say corporate, but yeah, so our house are really getting involved with literally individuals. We go and talk to people in all areas, especially the youth. I feel like the youth is kind of like my biggest challenge because a lot of them they're not educated enough in it, and the information they have gotten is kind of leading them not to want to vote or to not have faith in any of the people competing. Oh, competing. I try to make it sound like it's not a competition, but I know it is. So yeah, we just try to find people that have voted Green and kind of know the process as well. Um, and yeah, I'm still just learning the process, bringing the platform, getting that out to people so they understand what the Greens are about. Because we get questioned a lot, like, what are your policies? What do you guys run for? Who are you? And the whole mix of it is just getting the Greens known this year, especially down here in Texas, where we haven't had anybody run for a while in the Greens. So that's our how.
Excellent. And I think I saw that somebody put a donate link for you in the chat. If there's a chance to donate, if you are watching this call and you want to be one of those individuals who's helping Robin out, go ahead and drop a couple of coins in her account, and so that she can go do that work. Eddie, let's have you go next. What's your how? How are you doing the work to use your campaign to address the issues that you talked about?
Yeah, running for the Green Party, our voice is amplified. And what I mean by that is not only are we working here in our county, but also along the Gulf Coast, we're working with other environmental groups that don't want export LNG terminals on the Gulf Coast. So we've been teaming up with environmental groups, and we've also had a rally against the genocide in Gaza. So it's a matter of getting out there, trying to spread the news about the Green Party and about my campaign and about Dr. Stein's campaign, but definitely reaching out to everyone across the aisle. So not only do we want the environmental groups, I mean, we even talk to the libertarians, we talk to the Republicans, we talk to the Democrats. Now, I'll be honest with you, the Republicans and the Democrats never respond because they're the corporate parties. But the Libertarian candidate in my race was kind enough to give me a tour of the Permian Basin out in West Texas to see the environmental disaster for myself. And if we were to somehow, we were able to go and watch or just smell Beamer Lake, which is, imagine a 60-acre lake, and you have hydrogen sulfide and other toxic fluids bubbling to the surface, and nobody's doing anything about this. It's very disheartening to see the contamination. And then when you talk to the three-person railroad commission, they're like, there's not a problem out there. That is not our responsibility. And it's my goal to get the message out about these contaminating oil and gas wells in Texas, and also pointing out the importance of stopping fossil fuel extraction and fossil fuel use. So it's the campaign, it's used to, bring light to these issues, and try to get Texans to understand that, hey, we need to end our 100-year fossil fuel addiction. And the climate scientists are telling us to do this quickly. So that's why I'm here to, try to spread the word about the Green Party and the issue, the existential crisis that, or the existential threat that we all face due to global warming. But again, the number one thing that climate scientists are telling us to do is get off of fossil fuels and transition to renewables and batteries.
Absolutely.
And real quick, and going green, it's going to be good for the economy also, because when we're trying to regionalize energy and food production. So when you regionalize these things, you make them a little bit easier to work on, and your economy becomes more resilient to the global warming challenges that are here. But under no circumstances can we continue our fossil fuel addiction party. And this thing about exporting liquefied natural gas from Texas has to stop, because the United States should be leading the charge on cleaning up the environment and decarbonizing the economy.
Excellent. Couldn't have put it better, Eddie. I really appreciate the way you put a point on those issues and interconnected them. Coda, for you, how do you translate how does your campaign address the issues that you've identified as your why? What are you doing out there to make it happen?
Great question. I think it's really simple. We're all in the same place right now, collectively. We got this one Earth, and if we don't take care of it, it's not going to die. We are. So we're all in this together, and I think some of us are just at different levels of understanding how significant our actions are to the well-being of our environment, and by that, throughout our well-being in general, like spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, because it's all interconnected. I think we're all slowly understanding that. Some things that I've been involved in with the youth around here is, in 2019, I was leading the Sustainable Ocean Alliance Hawaii chapter here, and we got some bills passed to finally get the governor to sign a bill that bans deep sea mining in Hawaii state waters, and that bill just passed like a month ago. And I got to go to the governor's office and shake his hand, and that was super cool. I think just by leading by example, it really encourages the youth that they can make a difference. And along with that, there's been a trial happening where 14 youth plaintiffs actually sued the Department of Transportation here in Hawaii. And I was just a part of that by supporting, doing media, doing artwork, and, just making sure that I can use my role to uplift what was already happening, instead of, trying to be a predominant voice or whatever. I think my role and this campaign is just about uplifting youth and showing them avenues where they can make change and they have hope that change is possible, because I believe that youth is going to be what makes the world shift in the ways that we need it to shift, because youth are lively, youth have bright ideas, and youth are hopeful, and they're not so conditioned to where we see blockages. We see bridges where other people see blockages. And I think we should have youth seats in office. Like, when we get to that point, I think there should be mandatory youth seats in office in every branch of office. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, and I really hope that the next time you're at the governor's office to sign a bill, it's a bill that you drafted and got passed in the state house, and we can all hop on a Zoom and celebrate with you. I'd love to come out there, but we're not going to fly to Hawaii. We're Greens, right? And so I think that vision of having youth in office and having not just a youth voice in office, not just a seat at the table, but youth having power in the governing coalition is a really important one. And I really look forward to hearing you develop that more through the rest of this campaign. Let's go to the next question here. And we'll start with Eddie this time. Eddie, how do you translate the National Green Party values and platforms into a state and local context? How do you take the ideas that are in the platform, the ideas that are in the 10 key values, and use them to articulate policy for your race there in Texas?
Right. I'm going to focus on, for me, the most important one, which is ecological wisdom. I mean, that one is very, very important. So the corporate parties want to develop the export LNG terminals. It makes no sense whatsoever at the environment, as far as environmentally or economically. So also the militarization of the Texas-Mexico border. It makes no I'm sorry, it makes no sense to be spending money on Operation Lone Star and developing this fence that can easily be, people are going to drill under, or they're going to go over. That's not showing ecological wisdom when you're putting a barrier right next to a river. And on top of that, you're putting barbed wire. And the Texas Republicans, they are on a fossil fuel binge right now. And someone needs to start showing ecological wisdom, because global warming, regardless of where you live or how much money you have, you're not going to run away from global warming uh, effects. So yeah, for me, it's all about ecological wisdom and helping spread the word that, hey, we need to change our ways.
Excellent. Thank you, Eddie. We'll go to you next, Coda, on this one. How do you translate National Green Party values and platforms into your state and local context?
Okay, so ecologicalism, nonviolence, social justice, and grassroots democracy. I've kind of filtered that all down, because those are all things that people here in Hawaii generally live by. We have a culture of aloha. We have a culture of aloha aina, which means to take care of the land that sustains us. So these doctrines are already pretty much ingrained in our culture and what we do. I think I dissect, or I condense them to tackle three things. And one is supporting local agriculture and farmers. I think this is so big in Hawaii, because Hawaii was one of those places where we were completely sustainable without any importations from anywhere else. And when Captain Cook came here, he described it as the most luscious, beautiful lands you could ever possibly imagine. So when we support local agricultures and farmers, which means the ecolo farmers, the fishermen, all of that, and we can transition into things like getting farm to school, like farmers to use their produce for school lunches and things like that. We can use that to support the economy and also bring back the indigenous ways and just lessen how much importing and transportation that we have to do to this island, which is it's just insane how much fossil fuels and everything that we're just wasting every day. But the next thing is community disaster preparedness. Unfortunately, we have been ignoring climate change for so long, and it is to the point where there's the effects of climate change are happening. We've seen this last year in our neighborhood island, Maui, with the Lahaina fires. And so promoting community-wide disaster preparedness education is something that I really want to advocate towards during this campaign. And collaborating with local authorities to develop and distribute disaster preparedness kits, because I think that's something that will really ensure everybody's safety in the future. And last thing is part of grassroots democracy, but this is youth violence prevention. I think there's a lot of division within our youth. I think that because people are working, parents are working, middle class families are working, they're really stressed out. They don't have time to like care for their teenagers and their adolescents as much as they should. And I think that in itself is causing a lot of the root core of what's happening. Because if youth at this age aren't getting the support they need, how can they grow into people that are going to make changes, positive changes, right? So I want to try to I just want to try to speak the message that our future is primarily dependent on how well we prepare and empower the youth today and support programs to address youth violence.
Excellent. Thank you, Coda. Robin, for you, how do you translate the National Green Party values and platform into your state and local context?
Well, to keep it very simple, I tell them that we trust the scientists. We believe what they're saying and we don't take it for granted. And we will definitely try to work with them to improve our statuses when it comes to fossil fuel emissions. And like Coda said, educating the youth, that's super important. Because the youth comes straight out of high school and I feel like they think they know it all. But when you have experience, that definitely beats uh knowing something and not doing it, because I think I started politics really late. I started after probably 25 when it was like, oh my gosh, I don't want, we won't speak his name, Voldemort. But we didn't want him to get presidency, so I was really into it. And I mean, Hillary wasn't any better of an option, but I don't like that. And I think a lot of people come into that like where they have two options. It's kind of like we need more options. So I definitely want to be that option, and Eddie as well. Eddie always has really good like facts and all that, and he lets them out. And then I'm like, okay, all the facts have been said. We could talk about nicer things. So I really appreciate that Eddie's running as well in Texas down here with me. I don't know if Coda, you're over there alone running by yourself as a green. That would be really sad. But yeah. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did great. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And we'll start with Coda for the next round of this. So what organizing goals do you have for after the election, and how does the campaign help to advance those goals?
I think the goals that I have after this election is mainly what I said before, right? So youth violence prevention, and in that I really see myself creating a space where we can create a sanctuary for youth that's that doesn't have anywhere to go after schools, gets them off the street, gets them to stop doing stupid things, gives them a place where they feel loved, accepted, and supported. And then from there, they can explore other avenues of where they can be beneficial to society and make the changes that we need to understand about some of the problems that we have, to understand the importance of voting, right? And that's such a huge problem here in Hawaii. I hope to increase the voter turnout, especially in the youth range, because a significant problem we have here is that majority of our voters are of a certain demographic. They're actually, one, really old, and two, like mostly just Asian and Caucasian. And then that just like totally disregards the significant population, which should be the native Hawaiians. I hope that we could find venues and avenues that we can bring back some of the native Hawaiians who, unfortunately, most of them, they have to leave. They have to hop off the island because they're kicked out of paradise. Because things here are just so corporate, so industrialized to where like everything is about money and nothing is about sovereignty, and it's just really twisted. I think that we have all the power to flip the switches, and it's just about starting with the core of it, which is the youth, which is going to be the generation that makes these changes. And if we can secure that, I think everything will be fly.
Excellent. Robin, what about for you? What organizing goals do you have for after the election, and how does the campaign help advance them?
I think creating a space where people feel like they want to learn the process and get educated is where we'll go after the election, win or lose. It's about getting people educated so they are not terrified of the process, or they at least have a different response than I'm uncommitted or I'm not going to vote, because it really hurts me when people say that. I'm just like, we can see how the political system has failed a lot of people because they don't believe in it or they don't see where they fit in. So just educating people mostly. I think that's the route we're going to go. Keep trying to show people the way that it's not a hard process and you could find somebody that fits your values and principles. So that's where my team will go after elections.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. And I I hope you win and can do it from office. But if you don't, it's still wonderful to have a plan for how you use the election in order to achieve your organizing goals. So Eddie, let's close this round with you. What organizing goals do you have for after this election, and how does the campaign advance them?
I would say try to grow the Green Party here at the county level, here in Hidalgo County, which is right next to the Mexican border, and also trying to grow the party here in Texas and spread the word that, hey, there is a third option for Texans. And that third option is the best option for future generations. So growing the party at the local and state level, and also continuing to use the platform that I have as a Green Party candidate to spread the word about our global warming challenges.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. All right. So, Coda, I know you got to go at the top of the hour, right? So I want to do one more question, and then I want to open the floor to Q&A. So, Eddie, we'll start with you this time. What advice do you have for other state and local Green Party candidates that might be running in this cycle or might be running in a future cycle?
I would say get involved. And if you join the Green Party, you join the right team. And we may not win elections, but hopefully in the future we'll start winning some of these races. But participate in the process and also enjoy networking with other people. So enjoy the process and enjoy networking and reaching out to people and explaining to people your policies and your views.
Excellent. Eddie, thank you for that. Coda, why don't you go next? What advice do you have for other state and local Green Party candidates this cycle or in a future cycle?
I'm gonna be real. I don't think I'm the best person to ask because this is my first time running for office or anything, and I'm probably not doing it the best I could be, but also I am doing it the best I could be. But honestly, I've been getting mad love and support. I think the best thing you could do for any election is just to be yourself, be authentic. Don't try to be like a politician. I don't think the world needs any more politicians, to be quite frank. I think people need to see more real authentic human beings that genuinely care about the earth, genuinely care about other people, like, you know, so we can see, like, we can look through your eyes and your soul and see that we're all the same. I think we just need to amplify that unconditional love that we should have for one another and for all things, because at the end of the day, we are one being, you know, like the same four components that make up the stars, make up the trees, the ocean, the wind, the dirt, you know, nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and oxygen that exists within all of our bodies. You know, I think that's the beautiful thing. Also, yeah, I think the green team is the best team because, like, it is. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I am glad you're keeping it real, but I'm also glad that you had that advice to give, because I do think each bit of it is useful. And I think no matter where you are in your candidate lifeline, whether you're at the beginning of it or whether you're running your third race because you've won and you have to hold on to your seat, like, that advice is useful. So I appreciate it. And Robin, why don't you close us out here? What advice do you have for other state and local Green Party candidates?
I think my advice would, I don't know if they do this everywhere else, but after you win, it's like a lottery. Like, you put your name and you get selected either for a 4-year term or a 2-year term. So you pray for that 4-year term so you don't have to do this again. And that's my advice. Just kidding.
Excellent.
Well, also, I think I would just also say, well, I forgot my point, but, well, like Coda, be authentic, like, a lot of people expect us to be some sort of way really strict and political, but also just being yourself really helps the process of campaigning and talking to people. So yeah, just be yourself. Thank you.
Excellent, Robin. I appreciate it, and I hope you win that 4-year lottery. Eddie, go ahead and go close us out here.
Yeah, I forgot to mention also, or at least it's helped me to have a vision. Like, you should have an idea of what matters to you, and then understand what the problems are, and then come up with solutions. And a lot of the times the solutions are already out there, but definitely having a vision of what you want to happen.
Excellent. I appreciate all of you. Go ahead, Coda. You want to jump back in?
Yeah. Also, actually, one thing that works really well here is door knocking. Door knocking, like, the more that you could talk to people one on one, like your district or whatever, like, that helps a lot just to build relationships.
Yeah, I mean, talking to people where they are about what they care about is a huge part of doing this, because if we listen, if we stand on somebody's door and listen, we're going to learn a lot about them, a lot about what matters, a lot what they think is working and what they think could do better. So absolutely, I think that's a good point. So I want to say thank you to all three of you. I really appreciated the chance to do this. It was way too short, so I'll extend to all of you an opportunity to come on my podcast. We can do an hour long. We can talk about your campaign, your issues. We can let folks call in. But for now, I want to turn it over to the people who are here who may have some questions for you all, or just some general questions to go. And Coda's got to go and at the top of the hour here. It is early morning there, and he's got to get to work, but he generously agreed to come on before work in order to do that. So, if you have questions, especially before Coda leaves, go ahead and we'll go ahead and open the floor to Q&A.
Coda, how old are you?
I am 21 years young.
Oh, nice.
Allie, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I want to shout out my Texas candidates here, and I think you guys are doing a great job. But I have a question for Coda. I was wondering if you saw the program on Hawaii that John Oliver just did about the affordability crisis there, and whether or not you saw that. Let us know a little bit about how that message of the affordability problems in housing and food in Hawaii can be spread to the mainland so that we can support you in what you're facing.
No, I didn't see the John Oliver thing, but if you send me the link, I'd love to check it out. Yeah, affordability is crazy. I'm technically okay. Never mind. I'm not gonna tell you about my living situation because yeah. But anyways, like most people out here cannot afford their house, and this is local people because if you, like, I live in Waikiki, which is like Babylon. There's so many hotels. There's not enough trees. There's smoke in the air. It's disgusting. There's okay. Anyways, but like an affordable condo, whatever, is like $3,000 for like a studio, and that's not affordable at all. The minimum wage here is like $12 an hour, and like, and then for better jobs you have to have an education, which like people really can't afford here. If you like homelessness, I actually just got a full-time job working with the Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, and so this I'm a homeless like outreach worker, so I serve homeless people. I feed them, I give them hygiene materials and whatnot, and so I'm like witnessing firsthand how many homeless people there is, and it's the saddest thing to see, like mamas, like just looking for housing, like they're not even on drugs, they're not even like doing anything wrong, but they just got kicked out of their house and they can't afford it, and it's like the saddest thing ever. So I think to spread the message to the mainland is really just to use our mainstream platforms, like maybe write more magazines, like use the media to to let people know that, hey, this is paradise, but it's not going to be paradise if we're exploiting the culture and the people who made this paradise in the first place. And we need to be more considerate of that before we decide to come to Hawaii. And if we do decide, we should keep in mind, how are we going to give back? Because Hawaii is such a sacred place where so many people can come to for healing, and it is the one place, like I feel like on Earth that I know of. I mean, I've only lived here in California, but California is like, I haven't felt the love that I felt out here because we are unconditional. We welcome you. We don't have judgment. We don't have stigmas. We don't have like we don't separate and marginalize each other. So yeah, just use the media to spread a good message and to let people know that it's not just somewhere you can like come and play and without giving back.
Excellent. Thank you, Coda. Alfred, go ahead. You're next. I am going to put the book titles into the chat right now. So I think that takes care of Zoom 4's question, but Alfred, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. John Eder, he used to be a state representative in the state of Maine, and he did a workshop here in Texas a long time ago. And he suggested that people, you can have a very long website or some, book length of ideas that you want. However, you need an elevator speech where you give 1, 2, 3, or up to 5 concepts or ideas that you give when you're door knocking or that you're doing a presentation in front of people as a candidate. You have to be really reduced, and it has to be like basically 3 minutes or less. And when I was doing candidate forums, running for office for city council, Houston City Council, that's exactly what I discovered. It was like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes max. You aren't going to be able to give a speech. You might be able to give a speech to a Green Party meeting, but to the general public and to somebody at the door, you have to be very, very succinct, and you have to have the 3 ideas that you want to promote. And of course, if you get elected, you bring in other things, but at least when you're speaking to the public, you have to be very, very focused. So I don't know if that was something that was mentioned earlier in the meeting. I'm sorry I was late to it. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you. I think that's really useful. Any of the candidates want to respond to that or just take it as a good suggestion?
I think we're about to start door knocking more often because we're 82 days away from the election. So that's really good advice. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
Eddie or Coda, anything for you on that?
No, I
Thank you so
completely
much.
agreed with Alfred. Oh, sorry about that, Coda. Yeah, I completely agreed with Alfred. Your message has to be concise and mention 3 or 4 points, and that's it. Because yeah, here in Texas, a lot of people are interested in football and other things, not the climate change.
Excellent. Thank you. Ashley, go ahead and ask you're up for your question.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say, very cool to hear all of your experiences and how you've gotten into this. I think you all kind of tapped on this, but we as a society are so dumbed down to politics and to democracy and to like where our voices actually count. So I just applaud you for stepping up. And I think for me, I was super interested in learning about, how people get into this because I just automatically have assumed all my life that, I don't know, you go to school, you learn a bunch of stuff, you have all these buckets of qualifications, and then you can go in and do it. And you guys are just starting out and doing it, and really what it is being a voice for the people. One thing that I think you all kind of mentioned is some of your kind of like alliance building and coalition building with other environmental activists, or just in the community and stuff like that. So I would love, I do a lot of stuff on TikTok. I have my full-time job, and it makes it hard to be like a physically outreach and do all that stuff. So I'd love to help promote any of those, like, kind of like as a ancillary way to promote the growth of the movement and everything like that. So I'd love to hear, or like, if you have any to share, like those coalitions, like Eddie was saying, or Kodo or Robin, just about who you work with, and kind of like bring it all together to show that real growth and everything like that. One question, the big question I had, and Koda just kind of mentioned it, is you mentioned you're working with the like the homeless and stuff like that. I'm working in a job and I'm like, it's getting harder and harder because all I want to do is help the campaign, like it's just anything I can to get the outreach out there. So how do you balance like work and your efforts and getting momentum? That's really the biggest question for me.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. That's a great question. I'm so glad that you asked that because I feel like so many people are facing the exact same thing. So, one, thank you for your service to the community because it's like, even if you don't feel the effects or don't see them, it helps so much dramatically. Uh, I would say, please, please, please prioritize self care. You need to meditate. You need to take some space. I do this. I speak from experience, but you must make some space in your life, either early morning or maybe during your lunch break or right before you go to bed, to just set the intention to just not be here in this world. You could be in wherever world you want. You can make like a dreamland with rainbows and clouds and like chocolate, and whatever makes you feel good. You need to start thinking of that and just like releasing. I set the intention to releasing stress, like maybe things people said to you, like memories like you had from your childhood. Like the childhood healing and trauma healing is so important for this type of work because we need to be a vessel of love to be able to overflow into other people's cups too. And thank you so much for like bringing this up because this is something that people like can go downhill really fast, like good people, and it's the saddest thing ever. But yeah, self-care, like make time for people you love, and remember that politics is a long-term game. It's a marathon. Slow and steady wins the race. So if you need to take that break to like call off of work one day just to have a self-care day, go to like the park, relax, read, something like that, just make sure you prioritize that because your health, your well-being comes first. And with that, thank you everybody. But I really have to run right now. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Love you all and talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you, Coda. We appreciate it. And for everybody here, I will have Coda come on my podcast. We can talk for an hour. You all can be in the audience and ask questions there as well, because there's certainly more to hear from him than he had today. He's got a 6 a.m. there or something like that. So thank you so much for waking up early. Eddie or Robin, do you have anything you want to say about Ashley's question before we go to Jackie's question?
Yeah, Ashley brings up a really good point. Everybody is so, or at least in my community, is so busy trying to make ends meet, and working that 9 to 5 job that, when people get home, they're exhausted, and they don't have much time for politics. I'm able to do this because I'm a retired teacher, so that definitely helps out. And also, to follow up on what Coda mentioned, yeah, you definitely need to take time for yourself when you involve yourself in politics.
Thank you, Eddie. Robin?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think politics in our society gets kind of like a don't talk about it because it's going to cause a fight type of deal, at least in my family. And that's because they're not fighting Democrat versus Republican. Now they're fighting, do Greens actually matter, And I think I've become the person in the middle that's making everybody fight because this stuff really does matter. But like Coda said, we also matter, and health and mental health also matter a lot. You can't really help others if you can't help yourself first. So I think that's highly important. I think Jackie's had her hand up for a while.
Jackie, go ahead.
Okay.
Sadly, I had my hand up to speak to Coda.
I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, no, I lived on his island back in 71, and I have so much to share with him about how life was back then, and how sad I am that the Hawaiians can no longer afford to live on their island. Even when I lived there in 71, the Chinese business people were almost the majority on the island over the Hawaiians. So, but I would be interested, Andy, you said that you are going to have Coda on a podcast.
I mean, I'll try. If he and I can arrange it, I will be glad to have him on. I'll talk to him for an hour, and we'll invite a live stream audience to come so that you all
Okay,
can
well, I'd like to
additional
be
questions.
included in that if you did that. I don't know if you need my email or whatever.
I will. I'm sure I have it somewhere, Jackie, and I will definitely send you an invite for
All right.
whenever we do that. My podcast is on my campaign page. It's gogreen26.com, and we can share that out. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to have longer conversations with everybody here. I think it's really important for candidates to be able to not just have this panel type of presentation where we can answer quick questions, but also really have those in-depth discussions. I think that Alfred is right that there's not very often that you get a chance to speak for very long, but I do think as a party, we should create those opportunities for people to really go into their solutions, go into their how, go into their why, talk about the movement work that they're doing, talk about their vision and their values. And so obviously I'll extend that invitation to anybody here. We'll figure out how through the CCC if they want to promote it. And I think you can follow me on my X account, Be More Connected, and I'll promote it there. But I love the opportunity to hear candidates explain their vision of why they're running, how they're running, what their campaign is about, what their organizing goals are. And I really appreciated the opportunity to get to do this today. I thought that Robin, Coda, and Eddie, all of you had great opportunities to sort of speak from different perspectives of how you're approaching this. And I know Coda has some endorsements too, and I think he's been endorsed by his local Our Revolution and by a few other folks. But Robin and Eddie, do you want to shout out some of the movement-based organizations endorsements you all have gotten?
Yes, my campaign got the endorsement of the Democratic Socialists of America, the Rio Grande Valley chapter. And we've also been working with the South Texas Environmental Justice Network.
Excellent. Congratulations. That's the type of bridge building work that oftentimes we think is impossible until we see it. And seeing a DSA chapter endorse a green like that maybe gives us some hope of what a possibility of a world looks like where we work together. What about you, Robin?
I think me and Eddie are sharing the same endorsements. So he pretty much said it all.
Well, congratulations to you on that as well. And you know, those are good endorsements to get. You know, they help to they help to legitimize the party, they help to spread the word about what we're doing, and they help to challenge people's ideas about what our organization is and what their organizations are. Greg, I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, just I know that we're running out of time, so I'll be super quick. Well, a lot of people want to run for Congress and Senate. Why did y'all decide not to do that? In other words, why did you decide to run for something attainable?
Oh, like in a race that was different, or what do you
Right,
mean? Like,
why did you choose to not run for Congress and decided to run for a state legislative seat instead? I'm applauding it. Don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled with it, but I'm just wondering, how did you come to that conclusion?
Let me speak first, Robin, if that's okay. For me, it was like they kept mentioning the Texas Railroad Commission is one of the most important environmental races in the country. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up for that one, because that's what I'm all about. But yeah, definitely at this, we can have a profound impact on the state at the state level. And, we want the Texas Railroad Commission to lead the way in cleaning up our messes and helping to decarbonize the economy and making sure that the fossil fuel workers make a smooth transition to a greener and healthier planet and economy.
Excellent, Eddie. Robin, how about you?
because we're in Texas and you go big or go home. That's why I chose this spot. Well, actually, I didn't choose anything, but they just asked me to do it, and I said yes. I could have gone something smaller. Yes, I could have started with House of Representatives. That would have been probably easier, but this is where my name was needed, and that's all that matters. So I'm sorry if that doesn't really answer your question, though.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Robin and Eddie. Thank you all for this. I want to talk about a couple things as we close up here about ways that you can get involved and stay involved in this process. So, as we're closing up, we always have to have what do we do, why do we do it, and how do you get involved? So this is the get involved step. And if you're a candidate and you're watching, please join the CCC candidate community. And there's a link there for it. But, and for potential candidates, there's a CCC coordinated campaign committee page that is about running for office that has some tips and ideas. There's also instructional material in the CCC community. For state parties, we need to have the state party network. We need a liaison from every state. So check with your state and see if there's already a liaison to the CCC. If not, sign up. We need those state party liaisons there in order to help us discover candidates, understand what resources they need, and understand ways that we can help. Now, for supporters, volunteer for a local candidate. If you are in Texas or Hawaii, absolutely volunteer for Robin, absolutely volunteer for Eddie, absolutely volunteer for Coda. But if you're somewhere else, find a local Green Party candidate that is looking for support. They may need your help with knocking doors, they may need your help with sharing a skill, or they just may need some time or some of your experience in order to help them move forward. Also, spread the word about Green Party candidates at the state and local level. It is too easy for the two parties to set the narrative that we don't do anything other than run for president. We know that's not true, but we need to be out there every day telling the stories of the Eddies and the Robins and the Codas so that folks know that those candidates are out there. They know that they can run with them. And so that means social media. That means if you have access to a community organization of some sort, get them involved in that. And if local media is reporting on a race and you see them not mention your Green Party candidate, write a letter to the editor that says that they should mention the Green Party candidate. Write a letter to the reporter linking them to the Green Party candidate's page. I think that if we do this, we raise the awareness, we make people knowledgeable, and we make people understand that we are here, we are running, we are serious, and we have values and solutions that our time demands. I think people will start to see the Green Party candidates are here and they're everywhere, and that they're awesome and amazing people doing great work. And then finally, donate to local candidates. If you are, if you see, you don't have to be in Texas to donate to Eddie. You don't have to be in Texas to donate to Robin. You don't have to be in Hawaii to donate to Coda. Find these folks. If they excite you and inspire you, go ahead and make a donation to them so that they can run these grassroots campaigns without that corporate money, without that media attention, and without the big high-priced consultants that the other parties think are necessary to run campaigns. We do this together, and our dollars can help to propel our candidates. Our time, our skill, our labor, our compassion, our love, and our money help our candidates. So finally, the last thing I hear, Scott would kill me if I didn't say this, the CCC is always trying to raise money because we want to be able to give money to candidates. We want to be able to put money in the hands of candidates like Robin, Eddie, Coda, and everyone else here so that they can run their campaigns. So if you feel like it, if you got some extra money lying around and you want to make sure that you support great candidates like these, go ahead and make a donation. All of these links are available on the Green Party website. They're all available under the CCC. This is a committee that does some of the really important work that our party relies on. And so, I just really wanted to take a moment, thank everybody for the opportunity to lead this panel today. I hope it's the start of a discussion with these candidates, not the end of a discussion with these candidates. And I hope it's an opportunity for each of you to get to know them and the great candidates that are running across the country a little bit better. And with that, we're at 1:14, and I think this room closes at 1:15. So I think that's probably about time for me to say thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Go Green Party. We together can build this world that we want to live in. We can transform it into something that Coda's happy to, inherit, that the rest of us are happy to inherit. Thank you all so much.
Take care, all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Andy.
Bye, thank you.